Hi everybody, I am Pransisko Gil-White for Arutz Tov and Management of Reality in this joint program. And today I'm interviewing Gali Bat Chorim, not her real name, but this is how everybody knows her in Israel. Bat Chorin actually means the daughter of freedom. So I think that's a very nice name. Welcome, Gali.
Thank you very much, Pransisko.
Thank you for being with us. Gali has been an important media personality here in Israel. She used to have her own radio show, and now she is hosting, what is the name?
Forum Cafe Shapira.
Forum Cafe Shapira. Tell us about Forum Cafe Shapira.
Forum Cafe Shapira was formed to give a solution to the strange problem of the missing of common sense from the discourse. So we started as a group, all of us ex-lefties, mostly academics, and we formed a group, and then we realized that within our close group in Facebook, there are more academic titles than I think in any university. So we said, let's form some kind of our own university. And that's our goal is, we actually live right here. We have a lecture room, and we're very successful because in Israel, in all the lectures, everywhere, every city hall has its own municipal lecture hall, and they're all the 1% of progressives. So we take all the 99% of the people who's got interesting things to say, and we've got so many more things to say.
I see. So would it be fair to say that you are leading a strategy in which people who abandoned the left speak to people who are still in the left?
I wish. I don't know. Okay, we in our lecture, people from the left, it's not only that they don't come to our lecture. Okay. Sometimes they come to demonstrate against us, and sometimes in a rare occasion where they come to hear a fellow lecturer, it happens sometimes, they walk through the walls too embarrassed from me to be seen in a place like mine. But we put everything in YouTube, so people can...
Okay, so sometimes people from the left come to demonstrate and boycott your events, but your intention with your YouTube videos and so forth, your intention is to reach people who are still on the left. Would that be fair? This is part of your effort.
That would be good. It's not the main target. The main target is the majority of Israelis are it's silly to call it right wing. They are Zionists and they are not anti-Semites. Okay? The majority is Zionist, and not. Some of them are misguided. Some of them, quite a few of them, really a lot of percentages of the Israelis, they live right and pretend they are left, and they are afraid. So the main goal of Forum Cafe Shapira is to help them stop hiding, to help them be proud of what they are. And I'll tell you one thing. Yesterday I was walking in Kfar Saba, and it's not the first time it happens. I walk into a shop, and you have most of the places there are television opened there, and it's always on really disgusting channels of, when you watch a second, you see that they are bullshitting you with anti-Israeli propaganda in Israel. Okay?
So you're talking about the Israeli media.
So I'm talking, that's take it for as a fact now, okay? Well, maybe we'll unveil it later. So,
but you are talking about the Israeli media.
Israeli media, it's not Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera, I think, is a bit better.
I see. You're saying, wait, just so that our audience understands, you're saying that the Israeli media behaves more anti-Semitically than Al Jazeera? Is that what you just said?
And more lying.
And says more lies than
yeah.
Al Jazeera.
Yes.
Al Jazeera being the news service that is based in Qatar, which, as my subscribers know, is the news channel created by the Al-Thani family that runs Qatar, and which is editorially controlled, therefore, by the jihadis, and it has an editorial line that is very strongly anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. So what Gali is saying is that the Israeli media is even more anti-Israeli, even more anti-Semitic, and lies even more than the news channel of the jihadis. That's what you're saying.
And they have less standards.
They have what?
Less standards, because
fewer in other words, poorer journalistic standards.
Poor journalistic. They just lie without even hiding it.
So they don't even try to lie very well.
Exactly. So the whole thing. I'm walking inside those shops, and you can see the man in the shop is never been a lefty. He's not one of them. And I ask why, for crying out loud, Channel 13, why are you doing this stuff? And all of them, and it's became my crusade, because I'm pointing it out, and all of no, you don't know those lefties. They are violent. They boycott me. I lose clients if it shows channel like 14. Channel 14 is the
or Arutz Tov.
Arutz Tov, they will burn the shop
I
down.
see.
And all of them are afraid. They sit down all day, most of the day alone in their shop, with this channel that they hate.
I just want to make sure I understood
because they are afraid.
Yeah, I want to make sure I understood you. So you are describing people who personally identify on the right, but in their shops, in their businesses, when they have the TV on, they always have a channel that is one of these channels that are dominant in Israel, and that, in your opinion, have a line that is even more anti-Israeli, more anti-Semitic than Al Jazeera. So they're on the right, therefore they define themselves as patriots, yet the media that they consume and that they have on display for their clients and their customers, that's the left-wing media. And you're challenging them, and they reply, well, if I don't have the regular left-wing channel on display, my customers will become violent. Is that what you're saying?
They're banning, they're violent, they're ruthless, they are insulting, and that's the main goal of Forum Cafe Shapira, to get all those people to be proud of what they are, because they should be proud. You should. Anyway, if you've got an opinion, you better be proud of them, because opinion you can change. It's not like the skin color or something like that. So there's no point having opinions that I'm not proud about.
Okay.
Because I'm proud about my opinions because I think they are right.
Okay, now you changed your opinions dramatically.
And
is
I'm
that
proud.
right?
Yeah.
And you're proud of that. You used to be on the far left. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Far left?
I was raised in a youth movement, which is communist. It's called the Shomer HaTzair.
Yes.
My father was Marxist.
Okay.
Actually, Marxists that live in the bourgeois world, but they were always fond of the ideas, even though, it's strange. He himself was completely disillusioned from the Marxists, but it's always left him something some warm spot in his heart. He always kind of misses it, even though he realized very long time ago that it's not dangerous bullshit. But
so he's disappointed with the movement, but he still cherishes some of the ideas.
Yes, not the ideas. It's just it reminds me some of those old Germans that are still missing the Hitler Jugend, even though they know it's bad, but there's something there.
So it's like a nostalgia for
nostalgia, exactly. That's the word I was looking for. And I can understand it, because there's something very fascist in communism and also it's the clothes, it's the being very, very sure of yourself, the ideas, being a fighter, being young.
Sounds like a religion, Gali.
I think it's fascism is kind of something that was meant to be a secular religion. It started with Hegel, secular religious. So it's the state. The state meant to replace God, and actually in progress, it's not the state anymore. It's the society. For some reason, the progressives think that if the society would be perfect according to their values, and we'll speak about their values if we have time, every individual will be doing very well. But so they think that the society is some kind of a God that could have given every justice, perfect justice for everybody, as Thomas Sowell calls it, cosmic justice. So if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a doctor or an NBA player and you're short or you're dumb, the society needs to give you the fair chance to become what you want to be. So in one hand, the society make the society some kind of
all-powerful God.
Omnipotent God, yes.
Yeah,
omnipotent God. And on the other hand, they believe that they can manipulate the society and they can build it themselves. So this is exactly the stupidity of, actually, Hegel and his students has pointed out how religious people are thinking that they can, that God is omnipotent, and they still can manipulate him by praying to him.
Okay, but what is the real? Okay, so you used to be on the far left, and you're saying the far left in Israel is Marxist, and they're progressives. They believe that the state is all powerful and therefore can make a perfect life for everybody. This is what they sell people. This is what makes them popular with people, this belief that the state can take care of everyone perfectly. But what is the relationship between that and being anti-Semitic inside Israel and being anti-Israel inside Israel? I mean, what is the relationship between the Marxist left and all of this activity against the security of the Jewish state and in favor of the jihadis? Because my impression, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you were saying that most of the Israeli media takes on the mainstream media is behaving as though it works for the enemy. Would that be fair?
Even it's not only that, the media is making Israeli demonstrations that actually work one by one according to what the Hamas demands. They demonstrate to answer all the Hamas requests.
I see.
And I tell you what, you ask a very, very difficult question about the connection between anti-Semitism and
the left.
And the left and the Marxism and it's very, very, very hard to unfold, definitely in one. But I'll suggest this, and this is, I made a journey of almost 10 years from the left, from the academia left, to where I am now, and it took me a very long time to simplify things. So I'll try that.
Okay.
Eventually, if you take the progress and walk, those are not ideologies. You can say that they're not.
We're talking about progressivism and woke ideology. Is that right?
Yes, okay. But we'll get to Marxism and left.
Okay, fine. Sure.
So we'll try to start from the top.
Yeah.
Walk, and before that progress, and before that postmodernism, and before that all kinds of shit. They're all stations on the way to the revolution, because Marxism, according to Marxism, the history is turning in one direction, one vector, to straight to the revolution. So and because it's very, very hard to sell communism to the Western world, they keep changing the names. But you can see that the walk and the progress, they're not real ideologies, because they have no consistent in them. One day you have to worship women, the other way you can have men entering their private places, and there's no consistency. So walk and progress are not at all ideologies. They are tools. They're constructive tools to deconstruct the West for the Marxists, so they can have their revolution sooner.
I see. So can I summarize this? So would it be fair to say then that in your model, woke and progressivism, as you say, are not real ideologies, and this is why they constantly adapt and change, because the only thing that they're really supposed to do is help the Marxists produce social conflict,
destroy,
so that they can tip the system into some kind of civil war.
Perfectly said.
Yeah?
Perfectly said. Now, we'll go back now to the main ship, to the matrix.
Okay.
And that's Marxism.
Okay.
And it's very, very typical in Marxism, and I know because I've actually been there. There's very, very few people who are Marxist, know what they're doing. Okay. And all the rest are, I'm sorry to be not original, useful idiots.
Okay.
And that's what I was. I was useful idiot.
Who invented the term useful idiots?
I think it was Stalin or Stalin.
It was the communists.
It was someone in the KGB, I think.
Yeah, and they were talking about their own followers.
Yeah, they were laughing at them because the KGB people, they were very cynical, and because they were doing cynical things, and they were laughing about it. And sometimes I can see the cynicism. I wouldn't say in the Israeli media, in one place, in Iton Haaretz, I can very easily imagine them sitting in the desk meeting, laughing their heads off before they put
at their own followers.
And their own follower, it's their own invention of trolling the Israeli society. Right. And Iton Haaretz, it's like the Telegraph. It's considered to be high quality and
right. So for my viewers, she's speaking of Haaretz, which is a very, very important newspaper in Israel that tends to be well known for its very far left line. Right? That's the.
I don't know. You can say far left, and you can say extreme right wing Palestinian.
Right. Okay. So far left from the point of view of Israeli politics, but from the point of view of the fact that they support the line of fascists, right? The jihadi fascists. You could call them far right from that point of view, is what you're saying.
What they've been doing for years in the English edition. I followed it for a while until it started costing my health. But they every day, 3 times a day, they were framing Israeli soldiers for nothing. And they had a method. And beside that, they've gotten ideas that, look, okay, let's say, I am not conservative. I came from the most progressive faculty in the university.
Which is?
Well, it's called the history and philosophy of science and ideas, which is, I saw that and I said, wow, I learned everything.
Of course.
And actually I learned everything. It was
Chachamim, these are the true Chachamim.
It was psychology and Marxism, it was sociology and Marxism, it was literature and Marxism, it was biology and Marxism.
Oh my God.
It was everything and Marxism.
Wow.
So it's actually in the university, that's where I changed my mind.
I see.
Because I realized first of all, it wasn't politics.
So are you saying that the university in Israel, in general, that most of the big universities have the exact same ideology that you are describing in the Israeli media?
The universities in Israel are done. I don't think you can repair them. We should destroy them and make new universities, because once they started to adjust, the Israeli universities is the place that change actually the human being, because normal human being is born and his reference for what's true or wrong is the reality.
Right.
In the university, you learn very profoundly to refer to the ideologic as the reference whether something is true or not.
I see.
It's actually making different person out of you.
I see.
You come out, and that's why I don't blame the media as a whole, because those are actually different kind of creatures that it's very, very hard. That's why it's very hard for us to speak with lefties, because we don't even have the basic reference of what
is real.
What is real, because it's reality or what fits the ideology.
I see. So would it be fair to say then that what happens is that people come into the university relatively young, right? They're becoming adults when they enter the university, so they're malleable, they're easily shaped, especially by prestigious professors, highly respected professors who supposedly know everything. You know, when you go in, that's how you see them.
Right? You're supposed to, because they know better than you.
They know a lot of. They're doctors.
Come to learn.
They're doctors, and so with that authority, with that intellectual authority, they then manage the reality of these young people, and they in fact they separate them from actual reality. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And these universities are forming the people that work in the media. Isn't that true?
In the media, in the judiciary, everywhere.
And in the judiciary, all of the institutions.
Exactly.
Right?
And the thing is, while the other thing that's happened, I don't know if it's on purpose, they lost common sense. They lost, actually, the only three laws in Aristotle logic rules. One thing is identified to himself. You can't be one thing and the opposite. That's the contradiction law. And the third one is no third option. And that's the first thing I noticed when I came back to the university. When I was 50, I finished with raising children, jumped to the university back, and I started to feel uncomfortable, not politically. I was lefty by then. That there's no common sense, there's no logic. They speak very high. I live for philosophy ideas. I love the great ideas. Right. But it should be based on some logic base, and they lost it in all the places. So that's the problem that I firstly wanted to solve when I formed the Forum Cafe Shapira.
So, but tell us about the transition. So, what is it that made you stop and think, I'm in the wrong camp here? These people are lying to me, or they don't understand. They're telling me untruths. Maybe they don't understand, but the environment is telling me lies. When did this happen? How did this happen?
Look, Francisco, that's a very special story. I married an Englishman. He took away my television. Watching Sky News on the hour by the hour. No television. I'm riding a bike. So no radio.
No radio.
Just 10 years, I was busy, working, children, riding a bike, no radio, no television. And when the minute after 10 years, I could breathe a little bit, I brought up my head outside to see what's happening, and I looked at what I'm seeing on television. I said, "What's
going on?
What is it? What's going on? How did we become so pro our enemies? Why are we lying for our enemies? Why are we hating the religious people? Why are we violent? I was disconnected from the instant propaganda.
I see.
For a while.
Right. So it no longer had the same influence.
Exactly.
On you. I see.
So actually, I regained my normality by being busy. And you can, and now, because if you're not brainwashed anymore, you can see the brainwashing, and it's so clear that it's annoying. Even it's annoying for me, even to see how they are trying to brainwash me. I'm looking at television and I say, I'm that idiot. That kind of idiot you think I am? It's really insulting. Lie to me better. I'm not that stupid.
Well, but it's working for a lot of people, right? It is working for a lot of people.
I think it's working because of another exponent they put in. They put in shame. And it's like they made you be ashamed to be a proud Israeli, to be a Jew, to be pro-Israel. And they made you ashamed. And then after they honest people, regular people, normal people, just like me, after they made us ashamed enough, and that's a lot of Iton Haaretz has done, always telling stories about how cruel the army is, apparently lying in every story.
Right.
And
making up stories about.
Yes. Yeah. So eventually, you good people, you
become ashamed of your own army.
You become ashamed of your own identity.
Identity, yeah.
And then they give you a way out. Like if you're progressive, if you come to demonstrations against, you become again good people.
Right, you're redeemed.
You're redeemed, exactly. So that's where the religious goes in. But it's really stupid religious, because religion, at least, had generation of refining and winning in every history moment. The religious that survive up until now is survive all the selection between other ideas in the history. The progress and shit. It's in the best case scenario. It exists 150 years. It's Marxism. Okay. Never and whenever it was checked. And whenever it went through the selection, it's proved wrong. So.
Okay, so now I have a question for you, because I come from Mexico. In my country, and I think this would be true in most countries, or almost all countries, but I'm thinking of my own country. If there was a movement of some group of foreigners who publicly announced that they want to kill all Mexicans and destroy Mexico as a country, it is inconceivable for me, or I think for other Mexicans, that the entire intellectual structure of our country, the universities, the media, the people running the country, everything, all of the people with university degrees who control the institutions, it is inconceivable that all those people would be helping out trying to advance the agenda of the groups that say they want to kill all of us. It would never happen. So how do you explain that in Israel, the people, the intelligentsia, the people running the institutions, the people with university degrees who control the bureaucracies, how is it possible that these people are so consistently defending a line that you think is even worse than Al Jazeera? How do you explain that?
First of all, don't be sure at all that in your scenario in Mexico, it won't happen the same. Because the one thing about the intelligentsia, they always fail you. They failed in Nazi Germany. They failed you in the Soviet Russia. Whenever they can, they will fail you. Intelligentsia
I should be clear. I need to clarify. No, I understand what you're saying. I need to clarify. I'm not saying that the intelligentsia in Mexico should be considered patriotic. I'm not saying that. But if there were a group that was publicly saying that their objective is to kill all Mexicans and destroy Mexico, the intelligentsia, even though I don't consider them patriotic, I don't, but they would be too embarrassed And I think most of them would disagree with a group that wants to destroy all Mexicans. You know, but even if they didn't, they would be too embarrassed to publicly support them. So what's happening in Israel?
I watched in Israel. Actually, I've been there when it happened. Take a year before the Oslo Accords. There would be, the university would keep one professor which is post-Zionist. And everybody would look at him strange, but you know, we are pluralist, and we enjoy that we have plural ideas. So he exists. After the Oslo Accords, it's very rapidly, most of the professors were replaced with anti-Zionist professors.
Oh.
It was so rapid. It just turn your head and it's
so
done.
you think there was a it was a conscious program directed from the top to replace the people who didn't agree with Oslo with people who did agree with Oslo in the universities?
It was more subtle, but the thing is, you know what we find out about the United States now, USAID and all this stuff. So the grants went to the right professor and the right students, and slowly, but not slowly enough, slowly the professors that were too Zionist were kicked out for, you know, for something like they made up the whole sexual harassment.
Right.
Which has
so
no
they would invent
criteria.
Accusations against them.
Yes, it has no criteria. You looked at me in a funny way, okay? So no criteria.
Do you feel like you're being sexually harassed right now? No?
That's a good question.
Because that's how accusations are made, right? You look at them too long.
Exactly.
Right? This is how they do it.
And you see why progress and woke are not ideologies.
Right.
Because you know we believe korbanot. No, we believe rape victims. We believe victims. It's actually.
So you give them all the power.
The only one rape society is the Islam, which they rape as a tool of conquest.
Yeah.
And with everything that happened in the 7 October, no, they don't believe.
Right.
They believe that a woman in the dormitories 20 years ago, she felt that the judge Kavanaugh were looking at her in the way that
in the wrong way.
She felt like he's going to rape her. He didn't rape her. It happened 20 years ago. She felt it. Both of them were there, but we believe victims.
Right.
The victims of the 7 October, no, we don't believe. We don't have a.
I see.
No.
That's a very strong
evidence.
bias. That's a very strong bias. So, just to summarize.
That's a very strong bullshit because they don't believe what they say they believe.
That's right. It's the contradiction again. So, the only consistency is that they will defend things that help them produce social conflict leading to a civil war. That's the consistency, but the positions themselves
they don't care.
Have zero consistency.
As long as we fighting
exactly. As long as they get people to fight, it doesn't matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I understood.
But within that, there are a lot of people who believe in the segment. There's a lot of people who actually believe that LGBTQ plus A whatever is actually fighting for their rights.
I see.
People, there are women believing that the extreme feminism is actually feminism.
Yes.
And that's how you get them. Eventually, you can ask yourself why. I don't know how it is in Mexico. But in every uprising in Israel, there's a demonstration, you always see also the flag of LGBTQ. They are for everything or against everything.
Right. Interesting. Gali, we've run out of time, but this has been very interesting. I hope it's the first of several conversations.
I hope so too.
Whether here or in some other space.
Have you heard from Cafe Shapira?
I would love that.
Just one thing, I have a question for you. A request, more likely.
Yeah.
I was told that you are here to try to understand the Israeli society.
That's part of
And
it.
figure it out. So what I'm asking you, once you figure it out, can you tell me?
Of course, I'll be very glad to explain Israel to you as soon as I understand it.
Thank you very much.
You're
It's a
very
pleasure.
welcome. This is Pransisko Gil-White with Gali Bat Horin for Management of Reality and Arutz Tov. Thank you very much. And remember, you can find all of Management of Reality content on managementofreality.com or franciscogilwhite.com. It takes you to the same place. We've got all kinds of things, videos, courses, articles, etc. Please check us out. Thank you very much.